It looks like Gina Carano is going to have her day in court, and that's bad news if your name is Kathleen Kennedy. Hello, I'm Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster. Gina Carano's epic lawsuit against Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company has been one of the biggest stories in not just the Disney sphere, but all of entertainment. Laws established in California decades ago to protect communists might actually be flipped now to protect somebody on the moderate side of right-leaning politics.
Well, how about that?
Now, we are not a political channel. We don't discuss politics on this channel, and this has nothing to do with my personal feelings on politics. It's just impossible to discuss this particular issue without getting into the weeds of the politics involved with it. Because an actress voiced a moderate political viewpoint on social media, and the entire Hollywood world had an absolute conniption over it. Do I agree with making references to a very dark time in human history in comparison to modern-day politics? No. I think people use references to, for the sake of the YouTube algorithm, we'll say Germany's National Socialist movement of the 1930s and 40s and its Austrian painter leader as a crutch, and frankly, I'm over it. But while Gina was vilified and shamed and ultimately fired from The Mandalorian for the reference she made, her co-star, Pedro Pascal, made a comparison of the same nature, referencing that same political movement aimed at the other side of the aisle soon after, and absolutely nothing happened in response. So the hypocrisy of it all, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, is staggering. Gina was then shamed and threatened by the woke mob. And we're not talking about the death threats that people like Rachel Zegler, Amanda, Same-Face, Leslie Headland, Moses Ingram, and the like claim that they get. We're talking full-on, receipts-kept statements of intent from hundreds of people threatening the life of this woman. Remember when Disney said that people were being racist to Moses Ingram over Obi-Wan, and they launched a whole campaign attacking the supposed racist male fan base? Ewan McGregor then sat in his car telling people that if they had a problem with Miss Ingram, they weren't true Star Wars fans. Everyone rallied around the stars and crew of The Acolyte too, and continued to do so long after that stupid show was canceled. But Gina Carano, a woman receiving actual verifiable death threats from deranged, mentally ill wackadoodles, got no support from Disney or Lucasfilm. In fact, they decided instead that she needed to be put in the virtual stockades. When Gina refused to put pronouns in a Twitter bio, mind you, she said nothing about anyone else doing so. They simply wanted her to put them in her bio, and she said no. She followed it up with listing her pronouns as beep, bop, boop, the sound that a Star Wars droid makes. They wanted her to then participate in a series of struggle session video calls with LGBTQIA activists, where she'd have to sit there and let 75 people scream at her and do nothing to defend herself.
Shame. Shame. Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you.
It's the modern-day equivalent of wearing a dunce cap or being locked in the stockades in the town square so the villagers could throw fruit at you. You know who used to put the dunce cap on people and make them endure the ridicule of true believers? The folks behind the Chinese Cultural Revolution! That's not great company to keep. So when Gina refused, Lucasfilm had it out for her. Leslie Headland even organized an actual hate campaign against her, which had participation from none other than Rachel Zegler.
Son of a bitch!
Yup, it's Hollywood's version of the Legion of Doom.
Hey, we can't all make declarations of hatred at the same time.
Leslie was also supposed to be one of the radical activists screaming at Gina as she sat in the Hollywood stockades during that struggle session. Eventually, though, they used Gina's tweet as a reason to fire her, but they did more than that. They made social media posts attempting to ruin her reputation, to make her a pariah in Hollywood, a land that still celebrates the likes of Roman Polanski and Bryan Singer, a community that's allowing Kevin Spacey to stage a comeback.
Fools! Idiots! Imbeciles!
They tried to destroy her, and Gina Carano, because she's the actual strong female that Lucasfilm wishes it had the ability to create, stood up and said, "I will not be destroyed." And she came to the table backed up by the richest man in the world.
Globe gold! Globe gold! Globe gold! Globe gold!
Disney's attempts to stop this lawsuit in its tracks, to appeal to a sympathetic court to rule in its favor, have been denied.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
So, what does this mean, and what exactly happened? Well, we're going to talk about it today on Tooney Town TV. And we have to start with probably the biggest news story of the day. It just broke today. My goodness, is this a big one? It is the Gina Carano situation. The Gina Carano lawsuit against Disney and Lucasfilm. She got another big win today as the court has rejected Disney's attempt to block discovery as it appeals to dismiss the case. So it's this happened in the Ninth Circuit Court in California. Gina shared the victory on X, writing, after the judge denied Disney's request to dismiss my case, Disney requested permission to immediately appeal that decision to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and delay all discovery while that appeal takes place. Well, yesterday, October 16, 2024, we learned the judge denied Disney's unusual request. I'm obviously very pleased with the opportunity to keep moving forward with the judicial process and into discovery, she revealed. While I wish this was not necessary, as it is not my desire to be in this battle in court, I will not shrink away from it because it is hard or uncomfortable. She concluded, a huge thanks to all of you who have shown me support daily, to my incredible lawyers, and to Elon Musk and the people at X for the opportunity in continuing this lawsuit and seeking justice. Onward. Now, for those of you not aware, Gina Carano is the actress who played Cara Dune in The Mandalorian. She also, I don't remember the name of her character on in Deadpool, but she was the super strong woman in Deadpool.
I want to say Angel Dust.
Yeah, I think it was just Angel. I think they just called her Angel. Yeah, so she played Angel in Deadpool. Really awesome actress, an actual legitimate cage fighter. I mean, this woman knows what she's doing. The reason Cara Dune was such a badass was because she walked around like she knew how to fight, because Gina Carano does know how to fight. And that's not something you could just fake. That's somebody who's been in the octagon, folks. And so she is basically, I wouldn't even, a lot of people like to consider her a right-wing extremist. I consider her a moderate. Honestly, her political views are very much like in the just right of center. But apparently that's a little bit too much for Hollywood. Look, I do not enjoy when anyone compares modern day politics to the for the YouTube algorithm, we will say the National Socialist Movement of Germany in the 1930s and 40s and its Austrian painter leader. I don't enjoy when anyone makes that comparison to anything, because I think it's overused. I think it's used as a shield. But
well,
Disney,
there's a worse
context.
Yeah,
the worst reason not to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It diminishes and denigrates those evils by comparing them to anything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder if that isn't the point of the people that do that.
Yes. Kevin Apollo, what were you about to say?
And she was specifically referring to how they leveraged the brown coats to shame and blame their people's neighbors to the point that they lashed out and started turning on their neighbors. Because at the time we were talking about, the beer bug and, forced medical decisions, trying to play it very cool, so it within the context of what was happening culturally in terms of the media attacking you for feeling a certain kind of way or having certain opinions, or even old school Twitter, destroying your accounts, things like that. It was appropriate and by far the most benign of the Yahtzee comparisons being thrown around at the time.
Well, especially when you consider that her co-star Pedro Pascal a week later called half the country Yahtzees.
Yeah,
I was saying Yahtzee. Say that.
We're saying Yahtzee, folks, because you have to. YouTube does not like the actual word.
I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up. Like, was I the only one that remembered that he did that? And they didn't.
No, Gina Carano remembers it.
Well,
and it wasn't the first time he had done it too.
Clarence Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Not only were they permitted then to fire her from The Mandalorian, but they then tarnished her on Twitter, referring to her conduct and whatnot. And she pushed back. She filed a lawsuit. And look, Disney laughs at these lawsuits typically because normally even celebrities, they don't have the money to compete in the legal system with Disney's attorneys. Well, Gina put out the call, and along came Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who was like, "I'll be your Huckleberry," and essentially strapped his pocketbook to Gina's lawsuit, and away we go. Now, Disney has been trying to
100% block this because they do not want to get to Discovery. And guys, that doesn't seem like the actions of someone who has nothing to hide. Typically, the truth will set me free. Methinks thou doth protest too much. Kevin Apollo, what's going to happen when this goes to Discovery?
Well, listen, there's a lot of things at play here. It's one, for the first time, one of California's absurd labor laws is actually probably going to play in her favor. But Discovery opens up a whole treasure trove of, oh my God, no, they don't want people to see this, because it's going to be everybody and anybody remotely tethered to Lucasfilms, any and all communications, that's emails, text, memos, what have you. If it's relevant, it'll get gobbled in. If there's a chain, it'll lead to other stuff. So, it's big enough that it can even potentially lead to an examination of accounting. So that there's a lot of peril here for Disney. They do not want Discovery, because Discovery is the worst thing on earth for them. This is the proverbial sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it is a situation that they do not want to be in, because you're looking at correspondence that's going to be on the table between Kathleen Kennedy and people. Leslie Headland was involved supposedly in the hate campaign. She was supposed to be part of the struggle session. You're looking at and you even want to wonder about people like Rachel Zegler, who participated in the hate campaign against Gina. Go ahead, Lou. There's
more. There's always more with these people, but. Let us remember that at the very beginning of this, when Gina first started talking about what was done to her, she mentioned that she had copies of a lot of the internal email that somebody sent to her by mistake from inside Disney, instead of keeping it to themselves. So not only does this second failed attempt to quash Discovery by Disney say they know what's in it and it's not good for them, they know she knows what's in it. And that therefore, for example, if they were skullduggerous enough to hide things, she might say, well, what about this one from such and such a date, such and such a year? And they might say, oh, we forgot about that one here. Yeah, okay. In other words, attempts have been made in the history of legal stuff to hide things that are supposed to be brought out in Discovery.
Right.
They can't get away with it here, because I guarantee you, 90% of the stuff that will apparently be revealed in Discovery will be stuff that Gina and Elon's lawyers already have verified, and that therefore it intimidates Disney from not including certain things that might be really bad for them, for fear that they'll get caught doing it, because the other side already knows. So let's not act like this Discovery is just kind of shooting in the dark. Let's see what happens. They may find a lot of other things, but I think both sides know pretty much what they're going to find in advance, or there wouldn't be this battle over revealing it to the world.
You're very right, Lou. And now, Lou, can you walk us through the California law that Disney is essentially in violation of when it comes to this situation, specifically what they did to Gina?
Well, once upon a time, there was a guy named Jesse Unruh, Unruh, and he was the big guy in Democrat politics in California, which is saying a lot. And as we all know, once upon a time, there was the blacklist, in which people were persecuted, prosecuted, kept out of jobs, kept out of opportunities because of their political beliefs. In those cases, they were pretty communist political beliefs. And so Jesse, responding to his Democrat constituency, said, I'm going to put in a law, and the state legislature passed it, and the governor signed it, saying you cannot fire somebody or blacklist somebody or otherwise penalize their employment based on their politics.
So it's so funny to me that this was a law designed during the Red Scare to protect communists, and now it is going to be used to defend someone who is just the opposite of that.
Because it never occurred to them that in my native state of California this would ever happen.
Right. The Disney Corporation would have been on the opposite side of the time. They were staunchly anti-communist.
Yeah.
This law is hitting them on both ends.
Yep. All of which is the old axiom about when we practice to deceive, the web we weave and all that sort of thing.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
But the issue was, well, wait, you're filing this as a federal suit because she now lives where? In Montana, and Disney's in California, and therefore it's a federal lawsuit, which, as you said, unfortunately keeps us from looking inside the courtroom when it happens, if it happens.
I would have loved it. This could have been televised.
The revolution will not be televised. But it was an attempt by Unruh and company to have a stricter system than the federal system, because remember, the blacklist was a federal thing. All these great writers and directors were called to Washington, D.C. to testify in front of Joe McCarthy, and they said, you can't do that. That's not nice. Now, what Disney's response now has been, which twice now have been overturned by the judge, is, well, we're a media company, and therefore we are engaged in First Amendment rights stuff because we make speech, granted fictional, for a living, you can't restrict us. And therefore the whole suit is pointless. Well, twice now, judges have said, not yet. So I guess they're getting the message, but
yeah, you'd think so.
But if all their alternative to getting the message, as opposed to saying, okay, let's let that drop and go ahead and go to work on the issues, is to say, no, let's fight over this again. There's something seriously nasty in those things to be revealed. And as I have speculated, you got to remember, this isn't just they called her up one morning and said, all that stuff we were going to do where we're going to make you a star of your own series and you're going to start making real money and we love you and you're marvelous and you're going to be in features, to, nope, sorry, not today. Goodbye.
Yep.
Well. One of the things that happened that really jumped out at me, having done a few things in this biz over the years, was that immediately her agent dropped her. Now, if it comes out in discovery that a phone call or an email or something was made, say, nice little agency you got there. Wouldn't want anything bad to happen to it. Like Disney will never hire anybody who becomes one of your clients again. Then we're getting into real serious stuff.
How commonplace are tactics like that in Hollywood? I mean, I assume very common, but
yeah, but not so common that everyday business will reveal them to the world. Remember, there are rules. There are rules for how agents interact with production companies.
Yeah. That is true.
You break those, and it's not a question of Disney chooses not to work with you. It's a question of everybody else is denied the right to work with you. So if the prosecutor, which in this case, because it's civil, is Gina's side, goes to this agent and says, how come on the very same day, really almost before she even knew it, that they kicked her out, you guys did too. How did you know? Well,
right.
No. How did you know? You're under oath. You're under penalty of perjury if you don't tell the truth. Well, I got this phone call. Oh, really? What did it say? And now every actor, every writer, every director in town says, A, I don't want anything to do with this agency if they knuckled under that way. And B, I understand why they knuckled under, because Disney pushed them. And therefore, I don't want anything to do with Disney. This is not just legal, and I'm talking criminal jeopardy. This is business jeopardy.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about all the potential suits that'll come after this.
Well, sure.
Assuming Gina wins, how many other actors, have had a feeling that this may have happened to them, but were not able to prove it. Now
even if she doesn't win.
Yeah.
Even if some further motion at the end of discovery says there's no case and some judge agrees, they're screwed anyway. They're screwed anyway for having attempted to do it.
Right. That's insane, man. Oh man. Moving along the story here, Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett made it clear in a 10-page ruling that Disney's request for a stay of proceedings was denied. She wrote, having considered the party's submissions, the relevant law, and the record in this case, the court denies the motion. She also specifically addressed Disney attempting to avoid discovery by appealing to the Ninth Circuit. Defendants, quote, do not, however, explain how a Ninth Circuit opinion affirming the court's order would alleviate the burden of responding to the discovery plaintiff has propounded to date, nor is it apparent to the court how such a decision could provide such relief. In any event, arguments regarding Disney, which the court notes were not an issue in the order, do not appear to have any bearing on the termination of the litigation and do not persuade the court that certification is appropriate here. Carano filed a lawsuit against the Disney company back in February, with the lawsuit noting it is a civil action arising from defendants' wrongful termination of Carano's employment in retaliation for Carano's lawful exercise of her right to speak and express her views. Specifically, defendants under the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek fired Carano because of her posts on various social media platforms, including X, formerly known as Twitter. Carano composed and published the posts while she was off duty and away from the workplace. The suit also alleges defendants terminated Carano's employment and took other retaliatory actions to limit and deny her future employment opportunities, including but not limited. This is the important part. Including but not limited to making maliciously false statements about Carano with the intention of damaging her reputation and thus her ability to find and retain work. It also states the defendants treated Carano differently than her similarly situated male coworkers who likewise expressed their personal political beliefs on social media, but upon information and belief were not counseled or disciplined, let alone terminated. This is big, guys. Big.
So I'll say my piece real quick. This is where I think the most peril is for them in the discovery.
Yeah.
Because when you look at how the story group in particular, how immature they are on social media, just imagine what they're saying to each other in inter-office same time, what they're saying to each other, on the inter-office memos, what conversations they're having on text. This is
what if there is an email that says, well, it's simple. We just do to her what we did to X and Y and Z. And suddenly everybody who ever got terminated or ever walked away, remember we saw the D files where they admitted they intentionally were making the atmosphere so oppressive for the old timers that they would quit of their own accord because they didn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
So
that's it too. Yeah, I'm sorry. I kept focused on what I meant to say is not just the actors, but the Imagineers, the artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the domino effect is going to be out of control.
And Ruffalo's tweets are going to get read into the public record because of this.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. So are Mark Hamill's. So are Pedro Pascal's. They're all going to get read into the public record. But now my question is also, will they uncover any correspondence between Lucasfilm or Disney and some of their friendly media outlets? Was there an email to the editors at Variety, for instance, to be like, hey, it's time to take Gina Carano down. You know what to do. There's got to be something, or they would not be fighting. If at the end of the day, if you have nothing left, if you have nothing to hide, then it should be a very simple matter of go ahead, Elon, waste some money. But it's not. That's not what they're doing. They are doing everything in their power to stop this from happening. Hold on, guys. We have another panelist joining, and I would really like his opinion on this. So we're gonna bring him on right now.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Culture Casino.
Hey, how you doing? Wow. Look, I think everybody's got a little piece of this right. I think one of Disney's biggest failings is that they hire law firms that are outside of the states where they're doing these types of things, and New York law firms aren't exactly great at doing things that are in other states, which is why Florida became such a problem for them. That's the first reaction that I. The second reaction is I know Kevin's correct when it comes to what was going on inter-office wise. And I think that that is their biggest Achilles heel, so to speak. And Lou said a great scenario, I think, of a hypothetical that lays out what the real issues could be that if with Discovery, they'll be revealed. Worse yet, if Discovery reveals one chain of events, as has been suggested, just consider how many tendrils that creates, because normally you're limited to the number of items that you can reach out for Discovery. That's common practice. You now you're going to have an ever expanding pool, since we know that they were literally aligning against anybody that had a different political viewpoint within the company, which is why there's almost nobody there that's on the conservative side of the line any longer. It's the same situation in education and other places right now, and specifically journalism. Journalism has about 5% of people that I identify as Republican working in the mainstream outlets. Well, Disney's got the same problem. And as was pointed out here earlier, I think by Marvin, the Disney files were revelatory when it came to that.
That was the D files that were done by Alan Ng over at Film Threat you're talking about, right?
Yep, and film, yeah. And I have to tell you, I mean, Mr. Gore and Mr. Ng were spot on in everything that they reported.
And the key point of this that relates to this culture is, well, we can't just fire them because they're right-wing idiots. But if we make them feel so uncomfortable for being right-wing idiots, they'll fire themselves.
Yeah, and I think that Lou, you're spot on. I'll just say this: in the entertainment business, you've always had to navigate around the politics of it all, because it's always been heavily slanted to one side or the other, on one side of the camera or at the elite levels. But the people that actually work, the below the line employees, let's say, the regular folks, they're a lot, or were, I don't know about now, but they were a lot more conservative. So you really do have quite a divide in entertainment across the board. Disney worked very hard to get rid of that divide within their own company. And you're starting to see, a lot of the issues arise in the other elements of the entertainment industry as well now. And fairly soon, that lovely diversity that they've targeted is in it will be diverse in every way but mindset. So that's going to be a real problem. And it may be an argument for why entertainment stinks so bad right now. But in regards to getting back to Mrs. Carano, when I dropped my video today, it didn't have to be terribly long. It just had to be very positive. We don't get a lot of positive news. So this is something that we should get excited about, because it's a big win. It's a big win.
Yep. Yep.
Elon's motivation is going to be very important.
By the way,
hold on one sec, Lou. I wanted Martin to expand on that for a second, because he just raised an interesting point.
Well, he's got there are several possible motivations here. One is that he's defending X, formerly Twitter, and he doesn't want people being messed with because of what they say on his platform. That's a very strong economic motivation for him. Yeah. Another possibility is that he's fighting his own personal battle or war against what he has dubbed the woke mind virus. That's another one. He may also have a personal animus against Bob Iger because Bob Iger tried to pick on him.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
In the later two cases, the Discovery and the Gina Carano case could lead to so many other possible actions he can take in funding other people's lawsuits against the Disney Corporation and the woke mind virus, or Bob Iger, or whatever his motivation is.
Well, Martin, I just want to ask you a question. We know, right, that they've gone after X from an advertisement side of things, and they've also been getting rid of advertisement employees that are conservative.
Right.
So do you think he may be trying to fish in those waters?
Yeah, I do think so. I think that he has there's a lot of possible grudges here that he can really pound on if that's what he's interested in. The Google and AdSense and all that, sort of trying to break up their monopoly on online advertising. That's one avenue he could be pursuing, because I don't think Elon goes into anything playing just the hand that we think he has.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a lot of different plans out there, and who knows what they all are. Some of them may not pan out, but nobody thought that investing in both Tesla and SpaceX at the same time was going to pan out. And that seems to work pretty well so far.
Mm-hmm. He's the richest man in the world for a reason. That doesn't happen by accident.
Elon has a philosophy, which is let's do it the way that works. Let's not do it the NASA way that talks about it. Let's do it the way where we're plucking spaceships out of the sky with chopsticks.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you haven't seen that video, folks,
Oof, amazing.
Thunderbirds eat your heart out, you know? George Lucas eat your heart out. He never imagined that, did he?
No.
Well, so it's not these guys at this level don't just play one-dimensional chess. They've always got another iron in the fire. And as I said, when it turns out that it comes out that somebody somewhere in the course of the Gina thing said, well, we can do it like we did to Joe Blow. We can do it like we did to make Tom Jones feel uncomfortable and go away. Suddenly you have thousands, literally thousands of people joining in a class action saying, well, Disney proved that they were doing this in this other case. Why not to me? And maybe it wasn't to you. Maybe you were just a jerk and they wanted you out for that reason. But you're going to get your day in court to prove it. You're going to get your day in court to drag them through the mud. You're going to get your day in court to pursue the possibilities. Once one gets out, they all get out. They all get out.
I really want to also touch on the failure of Disney to stick up for Gina when she was being attacked, because you see them like Moses Ingram. People are claiming that people are saying horrible things to Moses Ingram, so they launch a campaign against the fans. They tell you you're not a fan. They go into this, that, or the other thing. Take a look at this, guys. This was a compilation that was put together by Data Racer 117.
Data Racer, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is all just threats and horrible things that people have said to Gina Carano over this whole situation. The rebellion would burn you alive if they knew how much you would say. We're waiting for you. After to that, I say, this is my boomstick. I'm gonna, blank Gina, get fired already. All of this stuff that was being sent her way, all of this vitriol, all of this hatred, actual certifiable, trackable death threats. People saying that they want to track this woman down and inflict harm upon her. And this company did nothing.
Yep.
They did nothing. And Moses Ingram says people are mean to her. They're mean to me. And you get Ewan McGregor in the driver's seat of a car sitting there going, you're not a Star Wars fan. Eat it, Disney.
You got to remember, it's okay when the bad behavior is done by the side that we agree with, because it's the wrath is righteous, which is why it's allowed to happen. This balances the scales in a way we haven't seen it, in a very long time. Because again, she's not the first. Some of these people live open. Look at James Woods. Look at Dean Cain. Look at Kevin Sorbo. And how many more that I don't have time to list. Very talented people who, are not as visible or appreciated as they should be. From whether it's an actor or it's a musician, or even an artist, or listen, very popular economist Thomas Sowell, for instance. These are people who do not get their due because they use wrong think, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see some active and aggressive pushback for a change.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody who is not, what can I say? We look at actors as they always throw themselves into politics, and so what? But it's not somebody who's on the news shows giving political sophisticated opinion like a Thomas Sowell or like a Jordan Peterson or somebody like that. It's just, in other words, to the average person out there who is going along with the left-wing zeitgeist in the movie business, suddenly they stop and say, wait a minute. I thought we were the guys that said equal speech. I thought we were the guys that said freedom from oppression for this. How come we're going after the people who open their mouth? I may not agree with her either, but that doesn't mean I want her in danger physically for her life. It gets home to people. It gets them where they live, and makes them wonder if maybe we picked the loser. Maybe
we
we
the
picked the wrong
baddies?
guy.
To put a button on this conversation, guys, the lawsuit specifically accuses the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm of wrongful discharge, and refusal to hire, and sex discrimination. I guess because of the good for one side and not for the other. Carano is asking for, quote, preliminary and permanent injunctive relief requiring defendants to reinstate Carano to her prior position with no loss of pay or benefit. A judgment declaring that defendants' termination of Carano's employment was unlawful and in violation of California law. It is. Compensatory damages, including but not limited to loss of pay from the date of termination to the date of reinstatement in an amount to be determined at trial, but exceeding $75,000. Compensatory damages for loss of future employment, including but not limited to the promised role in Rangers of the New Republic, in an amount to be determined at trial. Emotional distress damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Punitive damage in an amount to be determined at trial. Reasonable attorney fees and costs, and such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. This could be hugely, bigly awful for Disney, my friend.
The irony of the Gina Carano situation is amazing. We here on this channel have dubbed Kathleen Kennedy and her reign of terror over Star Wars as the Galactic Fempire. Meow, 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 meow. Now, the mission of the Fempire is to create strong female characters, to replace capable men with even more capable females. We've seen them try this with one-dimensional, snarky, insufferable girl bosses like Rey Palpatine, Rose Tico, Jyn Erso, Reva, May and Osha, Padawan Chitara, Jedi Master Leslie Headland's wife, Mama Yas, Ahsoka, Sabine Wren, Hera, Baby Leia, Bo-Katan, and so on and so forth.
Pachingo, pachingo, pachingo.
And it hasn't worked once. None of them could rise to the level of badassery and overall awesomeness that Leia Organa and Padme Amidala achieved when under the guidance of George Lucas. Except for one. Cara Dune was that one. She was the actual strong female character that the fans of Star Wars not only accepted, but celebrated. We loved that character and cheered when Rangers of the New Republic, a show centered around Dune, was announced. So, why was Cara Dune legitimized when none of these other characters were? There's a few reasons for that. She was never written to be insufferable. She never got over at the expense of her co-stars. She was a layered character who had flaws. Also, she wasn't a snarky brunette stick figure. She was a woman who looked like a fighter, a woman who knew how to kick some serious booty. And you know why? Because she was played by Gina Carano, a legitimate badass. Gina's a former professional cage fighter, so she knows how to carry herself like a warrior. She's in amazing shape and looks like an actual strong woman. You believe that she could beat Mando in an arm wrestling match or overpower a stormtrooper because, let's face it, if Pedro Pascal tried to arm wrestle Gina Carano, there's only one way that's ending.
Ah! Do you see what you get, Carla? Do you see what you get when you mess with the warrior?
In this scenario, Gina Carano is Turk, by the way. But my point here is Gina is everything the Fempire wants. She's everything it tried to create, and they vilified and destroyed her because she expressed a moderate political opinion. Imbeciles! And now because of that, we're gonna know all Kathleen Kennedy's dirty little secrets. Every email and Slack message delivered about Gina is gonna come out. This case could implicate the Fempire from the bottom to the top. We're talking Femperor Kennedy herself, Leslie Headland, Pablo Hidalgo, Beta Boy Dave Filoni, the whole corrupt, vile organization. Bottom line here, folks, the Fempire thought that it destroyed Gina Carano, but the possum ain't dead until it's scraped off the pavement. And backed by Elon Musk's legal team and the actual rule of law, we're gonna see some fireworks before all this is said and done. Thanks for joining us today, and a huge thanks goes out to our channel members. You guys are the ones keeping the lights on here, and so we appreciate every single one of you. That's why you get perks like members-only live streams on Fridays at 2 p.m. and early access to all of our Tooneytown TV videos, including this one. So if you're not a member, join today. Also, make sure you're joining us for Tooney Talk TV, a live stream pop culture podcast Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you can interact with me directly and make your voices heard as a part of the Tooneytown community. If you liked what you saw here today, please like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon to get notified of new videos as they drop. From all of us here at the Tooneytown channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!